I want to embarrass you just for 1 second. Congratulations, you are officially the 400th EFLtalks speaker. Yay!
I'm excited. Thank you.
Me too. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes. You have your slides. You get everything you need and ready to go?
Well, thank you. I mean, what an honor. And I so applaud this initiative. Since COVID started, everybody and their dog is putting out webinars and Zoom meetings, and you guys started it so much earlier, and you really have it down and know how to do this. So congratulations to that. I want to talk about turning challenges into opportunities. And as a teacher, trainer, and teacher of many years, I want to talk about learning to unlearn. So I've taught German as a foreign and second language, French as a second language, English as a foreign second language, and and I've been teacher trainer, so I know a little bit about teaching languages. And many of us are so influenced by the way we were taught and we were successful in learning a language, so that was the impetus for us to become a language teacher. And oftentimes one of the biggest problems we teachers have is to unlearn something that becomes so enormously comfortable for us. So that's what I want to focus on here today. And I need to see that my streaming works. Okay. So many times when we encounter an unlearning situation, and COVID certainly was pushing us to that end, we actually have a physical brain reaction when we have fear or apprehension about something. And there you can read all the details here, but it is an identified phenomenon that happens, and I see it every day in my teachers still, even after we started this COVID stuff in March, they still have this. And what happens then, which is dangerous, is that our emotional regulation center of our brain is underactivated, and our prefrontal cortex is also underactivated. And you know what? It is crazy. It makes it very difficult to think, and that thinking skill is what we need right now. And when we cannot access that frontal cortex part, we have trouble. So that prevents this relearning business. And then the second one we need to remind ourselves of, and you remember this from your teacher training, the developmental and cognitive psychology talks about disequilibrium as the engine of learning. And it's we're seeking the optimal state of feeling comfortable, and every time we encounter something that we're not familiar with, which we are right now, we have cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance for us humans creates a feeling of being uncomfortable, being scared. And when we do not know that this apprehension is what powers our learning in the future, we're letting go of one of the most important engines for learning, because we need that disequilibrium for good learning to occur. And I just wanted to point out those two things. And the other thing is metacognition, one of the most neglected aspects of teaching in general and language teaching, the knowing about knowing how I do things. And this also is something we need to teach our students very clearly for our online classes. Have an awareness of your online presence. How do you present yourself in your class, in your room, on Zoom, in your social media? How do you know what kind of time and work management you have? Have you ever thought about that? What happens when you multitask? We can do experiments with our students showing them what happens to their cognitive load when they do this. We need to also have an expectation of problems to happen, like technology, cameras, anything can go wrong, right? In normal teaching anyway, but on online, it's a different kinds of problems. We also need to be aware of how we communicate in a different way. And we also need to be aware of how to establish a caring culture in the online environment. And lastly, and not to neglect, we need to be aware of when we need rest and mindfulness activities. if we are not aware that we're wearing ourselves out totally, we are like a candle that burns itself out, and we cannot give any light anymore to our students. So my mantra is, one thing that I saw going wrong in almost all the teachers I work with, they all try to reinvent the wheel on their particular issues. They do not work smarter, they work harder. And I always tell them, don't do that. Somebody else has already thought about the same problem and has created a resource you can find online. And to that end, many teachers are really unsure what resources they should use, because they get bombarded since COVID with hundreds and maybe thousands even of products and apps and widgets, and they're like, stop this, I can't deal with this. And they don't know how to weed out stuff. They don't know which ones are research based, which ones already existed and were all used before COVID, are internationally respected, and are specific for the environment. So I want to just throw out the resources that are absolutely meeting all these standards. It's the ISTE standards for people who don't know how to differentiate online, Universal Design of Learning at the KSAALT Center, and how do I plan classes and lessons that assure online quality. Quality matters, a research-based system for offering classes online. All of these have free resources and for all levels and classes and topics. So we need to always, as teachers, remember that connecting with the students is the basic tenet of teaching. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of need, feeling safe, feeling cared for is the most important thing. If we get so worked up and so nervous and so agitated and so unsure about our skills, we don't make our students feel secure. They know exactly how their teacher feels. They know it in the classroom, they know it online. Students always remember later how a teacher makes them feel, and not necessarily what they taught them if you ask them later. We also need to remember that good teaching is good teaching. It doesn't matter what my delivery mode is. And digital classrooms always should mirror effective face-to-face classrooms in activities, in how we bring students to work collaboratively, project-based learning, all these things. Whatever are good strategies for our normal classrooms that we are used to, we can apply in the online classroom. We need to remember to have confidence in our ability to teach effectively, no matter how and where. We just need to believe that, and we need to have that as our basic value. We need to also innately believe that students can learn. We need to have that faith that our students are there to learn, even though I know in reality some students tune out, and maybe we need to mess around with that, like Anastasia said before. But we have to believe that they can learn. And if we don't have those two tenets, it's almost impossible. So I want to put out a challenge. I want to mention the UNESCO's World Teacher Day, October 5. It's over, but they still have this year-long challenge. Leading in crisis and reimagining the futures is the challenge that UNESCO poses to teachers. And this is really, for the first time, all of us teachers across the whole world have the same challenges. And we have so much in common all of a sudden, no matter how our conditions, cultures, religions, everything, we all face the same issues. And it is actually the opportunity to apply a sense of professionalism that we oftentimes don't get afforded by our workplaces, and the opportunity to be innovative and leave routines behind. So I want to close with my challenge to you. We have to just believe that we are the specialists on learning, and that we are committed lifelong learners, and that we can use these skills in all kinds of circumstances. We should never focus on what we don't have anymore, but what we do have now. We also have this amazing opportunity to leave the 19th century schools and methods behind, and can dream up a totally new future with 21st century instruction that our students so crave. We can dedicate ourselves to unlearning what we already feel so comfortable with, and relearning what we need to learn. And we can be these professionals that we couldn't many times be before, because we were so crammed into these frameworks by our workplaces. And so that's my challenge to you. And here's my contact for you if you want to contact me in any way. But thank you so much for having me, and being the 400s is a great honor for me. And have a great couple of sessions today.
Perfect timing.